Max Verstappen's second Formula One World Championship victory didn't match the excitement and controversy of his first F1 title, but it did highlight how both Max and Red Bull have become an unstoppable force at the beginning of a new ground effect era. Here are the top 10 moments from Max Verstappen's performance during the 2022 season. 10. The RB18's first win. It only took until the second race of the year for Verstappen to deliver on the potential of the RB18 to win races. Surprisingly, his teammate Sergio Perez was the first of the duo to win a pole position, but an early safety car denied him of that advantage. As a result, Verstappen and Leclerc were left in a fierce competition for the win in Jeddah. Verstappen was victorious and showed that the RB18 has a powerful straight-line speed, which has been one of the car's strengths throughout the entire season and has enabled him to win multiple races without starting from the pole position. At this point in the season, however, Verstappen was still not completely at ease with his new car. After the race, he commented, "Clearly yesterday I wasn't very happy, and also in the first stint, it still wasn't how I would have liked it to be. We'll have a look, but there's still quite a few things to get on top of because it's a very new car." 9. The comeback at Imola. At this stage in the championship, Max Verstappen was more than 40 points behind Charles Leclerc. He'd already had 2 DNFs in the first 3 races, and Ferrari had smashed Red Bull in the Australian GP. After the race in Australia, Verstappen admitted that he wasn't looking at the title for now. The comeback that the Red Bull driver scripted at Imola was incredible. In the Imola sprint, Verstappen took the starting position on the front row. He won the sprint after making a spectacular pass on Charles Leclerc, which allowed him to grab the lead, and he went on to win the race with ease. Although he could not eliminate the deficit against Leclerc, he made a significant dent in the championship points. It was also a determination on his part that he would not go down without putting up a fight. 8. Taking victory in Miami. The victory in Miami occurred just after Imola's victory, yet so many fans are missing the bigger picture because they are only looking at the result. Even before the race on Sunday, Max Verstappen had seen himself get compromised in qualifying due to a little issue. Ferrari had sealed the front row, while Verstappen was going to start the race in P3. After the qualifying round, Verstappen communicated his thoughts to Red Bull clearly and directly. He emphasized that the group needed to be more exact in its operations and that these issues could not continue. At the beginning of the race, Verstappen made quick work of Carlos Sainz, and he was able to pass Leclerc later on in the race. During this race, Max Verstappen demonstrated that despite the problems still being faced by his team, he is still able to compete on equal footing with Ferrari. Before I move to number 7, I know you're enjoying this video, so for you not to miss out on my other amazing videos, hit the subscription button and give this video a thumbs up. It's that easy. Thanks for doing that. Let's move on. 7. Ferrari's power unit nightmare in Barcelona. No race proved as pivotal as the race in Barcelona. Charles Leclerc was leading the race while Max Verstappen was frustrated and stuck behind George Russell due to DRS issues. At this point, the Ferrari power unit that Charles Leclerc was using suddenly became inoperable. An almost certain win was vanquished from him, and Verstappen took over the championship lead and never looked back. The race in Barcelona radically changed the trajectory of the championship. After this, Ferrari were unable to stage a comeback at any point and slid into a state of continuous deterioration, as we were all able to see later on in the season. 6. Max Verstappen's victory at Paul Ricard. Charles Leclerc was in the lead of the race, and although Max Verstappen started the undercut by pitting early, Ferrari chose not to take advantage of the situation. Leclerc was going to continue running at the front of the pack, increasing his lead while the Dutch driver attempted to get the most out of his new tyres in the clear air. It was all poised to be a titanic battle, but it all came to an end when the Ferrari driver crashed out of the race and gifted a win to his rival. From this point on, Verstappen was clearly the better driver of the two, and there was no argument left. 5. The win in Hungary. A lot is made of Max Verstappen's wins this season, but until we look at his starting position, we do not realize how difficult many of these wins have been. The old Verstappen had a reputation for being a little rash when he raced. He wasn't afraid of taking chances and was generally an aggressive person. The race in Hungary, and in particular the beginning of the race, is the first true display of how far the Red Bull driver has grown since winning his maiden title. The start of the race in the Hungarian GP did not see Max Verstappen sending it down the inside to gain as many positions as possible on turn 1. On the other hand, he took precautions to ensure that his nose was not soiled and that he did not get into collisions when the race began. After that point, his skilled driving propelled him to the front of the pack, ultimately winning the race. 4. Unbelievable pace in Japan. After finishing 7th in Singapore, it appeared as though Verstappen was going to be frustrated once again in Japan. However, he was able to pull off a victory in the Japanese Grand Prix. He won the race with a dominant performance. At first, Charles Leclerc finishing position and the expectation that reduced points would be awarded appeared to indicate Max would have to wait until Austin to win the World Championship. But Leclerc's 5-second penalty for gaining an advantage when he cut the chicane on the last lap and stayed ahead of Perez, combined with the realization that the wording of the regulations meant the Suzuka race would be worth full points, meant Verstappen really had clinched his second World Championship. Realistically, it was already a foregone conclusion even before F1 reached Suzuka. But once Verstappen and Red Bull finally realized that the math had added up, he was rightly delighted to be crowned world champion for the second time. 3. Max Mania. Nothing perfectly captures the spirit of Max Mania like his weekend at home during the Dutch Grand Prix. The scary sight of hordes of fans wearing orange and playing techno with no other team's merchandise in sight is a sight to behold. Some drivers find that having the backing of the home fans helps them perform better, but there is still a lot of pressure to win when competing on their own track. However, Verstappen gave his supporters the best possible race weekend by winning both the pole position on Saturday and the race itself on Sunday. Getting things done was not as simple as it appeared to be. With the Mercs opting for a one-stop strategy, they pressured Verstappen for the win throughout the race. He withstood the competition and won a popular victory at his home track thanks to an advantage in tyres and his car. Max Verstappen's strong sports mentality provides him with the ferocity required of a multiple world champion and ensures that the expectations of others never rattle him. 2. Wheel-to-wheel racing. The pressure of the championship battle may have had an effect on Verstappen's driving style in 2021, as seen by the fact that he made some questionable actions at Monza, Brazil, and Saudi Arabia. However, during the course of this year, he has developed into a driver who rarely commits any errors. On the one hand, there has been a lack of intensity in the 2022 title fight, with less need to go for riskier moves to beat a closely matched opponent. Despite this, at the beginning of the season with DNFs in Bahrain and Australia, it would have been easy for Verstappen to attempt desperate moves to claw back a championship lead. Despite this, he did not lose his patience. A standout example is the Saudi Arabian GP and the patience Max exercises when fighting for the lead against Leclerc. He waits to use DRS patiently, knowing if he does not get Leclerc on one lap, he can get him on the other. In one DRS zone, they lock up and manage not to crash into each other, showing immense control and respect from both drivers. 1. Storming Spa. It was speculated from the beginning that Spa would be a track where Red Bull would excel, and that prediction was confirmed. If not for the fact that he and almost half of the other drivers received penalties for changing components, Verstappen would have started the race in pole position. He started 14th on the grid, one spot ahead of Leclerc. On the day of the race, Verstappen made incredible headway through the field of competitors. After finishing 8th on the first lap, he passed 5 cars in the next 3 laps to move up to 3rd. And by the end of the 12th lap, he was in the lead and on his way to claiming another victory. It was a performance which deserved comparison with the sport's all-time greats. According to Verstappen, the weekend was the most exciting part of the whole season. He said, "That was just total dominance. These kinds of weekends, they rarely happen like that. When I came home that night, you start to reflect a bit on the weekend, and you realize that it was pretty crazy and pretty special." Which of these moments stood out for you? Let me know in the comments section below. That will be all for today's video. Thanks for staying tuned. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you can always get to watch more amazing videos like this. See you in the next video.